Hey everybody, welcome back to Sloth Fab Garage. Today we're going to be mounting 40-inch tires onto 17-inch beadlocks. If you've never mounted tires before, it can seem like a daunting task, especially if you're working with oversized tires and beadlocks. It's really not a hard job if you have the right tools and a little bit of know-how. And actually, working with bigger tires and beadlocks are both going to make the process a lot easier. I'm going to walk through each step in this video, and maybe at the end of this video, you'll feel confident enough to go after this job yourself. I'm sure many of you recognize these tires that I'm going to be using. These are Milestar Patagonias in the 40-inch variety. And if you are at all in the off-road scene, you are seeing these take the market by storm. And there's two main reasons for that. First one is they're cheap, and the second one is they're light. And both of those reasons are why I've got these today. Now, if you were watching my channel before, you probably saw that I had a set of 39s mocked up and ready to go on, and I had no issues with those tires, except that they were E-range, and even sitting on my Jeep with no air in them, they really didn't squish down at all, and that's just not at all what I'm looking for. I need those to squish down, to grip. We want traction. That's the whole point of airing down. And those weren't doing it for me, so I was actually able to sell those tires and make a profit on them. And between my previous tires, the 37s that I ran the last 2 years, I made some money on those amazingly with the current tire market, and I made some money on the 39s. I paid next to nothing out of pocket for these, all said and done. And it just goes to show that if you're willing to put in a little bit of time and do some wheeling and dealing and have some patience, you can get places very easily. And so that's why I've got these. Now, these wheels, on the other hand, these are from a company out of California called Sidetracked Off-Road, and they are 17x9 aluminum wheels. I will throw links to the tires, the wheels, and everything else I'm using today in the description, just so that's out there. But these are beadlocks that I ran last year and have absolutely loved them. I love this classic style. The size is perfect, and I love that they're aluminum. They've taken quite a beating over the last year, and they've been working great. So I'm going to keep using these, and that's where we're at. But I have some new things to add to this, and that is these Apex rapid precision valves, and these things are pretty cool. There is a cap on the top here. Let me pop this open, and then when it's open like this, here's the whole valve. When it's open, you can pop this red up, which these are pretty stiff from being new yet. You can pop that red tab up and let air out, and these let air out ridiculously fast. Once I get everything mounted up, I will show you how fast these actually are, but it's something like 30 psi down to 15 psi in less than 30 seconds. It's ridiculously fast. So the first step to getting everything mounted is to put these on, and that means that the old valve stems need to come out. The hardest part of this entire process was actually removing the old valve stems. I could have just mangled or cut them and pulled them out, but I wanted to save them for spares or any number of projects that I'm going to have coming up down the road. Putting in the Apex rapid valves was a breeze. All I had to do was follow the diagram that came with them to assemble them in the right order, and then a little bit of Loctite on the backup nut.
They do call for 25 to 45 inch-pounds on that nut, so you'll see me using a small torque bar to get that to spec.
Ooh, okay, prep it. It is. It is. Easy, go fucking something. First impressions is that these things are sweet. They went on really smoothly. The action is surprisingly smooth, and they don't stick into my wheel as far as I thought they were going to, which is really, really good, because obviously you don't want them to get caught on rocks or anything. So I don't know if this lanyard's going to stay. I like that I can spin the little lever around so that it's out of the way. This lanyard might have to go. That might get caught on stuff, but we'll see. They went together really, really nicely, and they do state that they are light enough that you don't have to deal with rebalancing, and I believe that because the four of them together, you can barely tell that they were in your hand. They are really, really light. So the next thing, I suppose, is taking one of those big boys and throwing it down on here.
I always clean the bead seats on my wheels before mounting a tire. This just helps to make sure that there's no debris or gunk or anything in there that's going to stop me from getting a good clean seat and potentially causing an air leak. There's a lot of things you can use to help slip the tire onto the wheel, but a good handful of regular old dish soap is my personal go-to. It's cheap and it works great. I've never had any ill effects with it. Now the reason I put the tire up on the stool is so that I can use the weight of the tire to help seat the outer bead, which sits in a lip on beadlock wheels. It's also a much better height to work at. It's hard to see, but I'm placing small spacers between the lock ring and the wheel itself. I have to do this because of how thick the lip of the tire is. You generally run into this when you get into larger tire sizes, and there's wheel companies like Method, Trailready, or Battleborn that offer complete spacer rings, but I've just been using nylon washers and I haven't had any problems so far. Using spacers helps keep the ring flat and make sure that you don't put any funny side load on the bolts, which can cause them to shear off under pressure. Every wheel is different when it comes to torque specs, so make sure that you know yours. Mine is 17 foot-pounds. I'm doing every 7th bolt so that I draw the ring down evenly, and then once it's snug, I chase around a few times to make sure I'm torqued. Putting anti-seize on these bolts isn't a bad idea, but they should be checked regularly regardless, whether you do or not.
Well, we're all mounted up. So now the next thing to do is put balancing beads in. With a tire this big, a lot of shops won't even touch them for balancing, and I find that balancing beads work better than stick-on weights anyway, and I don't have the chance of ripping them off. So what I've been using for the last couple of years is these EcoBalance balancing beads by Counteract. They're basically little glass beads, and dump them in your tire and good to go. So Counteract actually has a super cool app. You can do this on their website too, but you basically just click and fill in your tire size, and then it gives you a suggestion as to how much to use. Now this technically is a mud terrain, and they call for 16 ounces, but it's also based on weight, and this is a relatively light tire. So I'm going to start with 12, and if I need more, then I can always add more in the future. The reason I'm going to go with 12 is because I have 12-ounce bags. And the reason I have 12-ounce bags is because I needed some for my own tires as well as my buddies, and the cheapest way I could find these was in a big pack of 12-ounce bags off of eBay. And so that's the way I did it, and I can always separate them and measure them out and add more if necessary. But I've got 12-ounce bags, so I'm going to throw the beads from every 12-ounce bag in there. And if down the road that becomes not enough, or I realize they need more, I will have plenty of extra that I can add more.
The last thing to do is set the rear bead. Now, because of how snug these tires are on the wheels already, I don't need to do anything extra besides just put air in them. Sometimes you need to do a little bit more to squish that tire towards the outside of the wheel, so you can just put your body weight on them and sometimes squish them enough to do that, or sometimes you can run a ratchet strap around them and pull it tight, and that'll push the lip of the tire out towards the bead.
Well, here we have it. Mounted and balanced 40-inch tires on Beadlocks. That was not too bad. There's really only two things left to do, and they go hand in hand. The first one is to change out the valve cores on these rapid valves for the valve cores that come with the beads. And basically, all the difference is that the one on the right here has a little cap on the end, and that's to protect the valve core from the beads. So these beads did also come with a valve core tool, which is really nice, and they came with the cores. So I'm going to swap those out. That one's already done. So I've got these three left to do. The fun part is I get to use these rapid valves to let all the air out so that I can take the core out. And let me tell you, they work amazingly. Like, it's like you took the core out and that's how much air you're getting. It's probably more than that realistically. It's crazy. Let me show you. All right, so for reference, I've got my gauge hooked up right here. It's a screw-on style, so I'm not losing any air pressure that way. I pumped this up to 30 psi just so we can get a pretty accurate reading here. And here we go. That was 30 down to that on a 40-inch tire, just that fast. And that's pretty crazy. That's way more air than if you took out the valve core. It's insane how much air comes out of there. In regards to putting air in the tire, there is also a benefit. You can tell the comparison on airflow right there. You have full control with these valves. It's really cool, actually. There is a 20% airflow bonus when you're inflating the tire as well, which is really cool, just because the core is larger. So airs up a little bit faster, airs down much faster. And you got to remember, this is a 40-inch tire with no weight on it. You throw this on a vehicle and that's going to go down even faster with the pressure on there. So these are super cool. Hopefully they stand up, hopefully they perform, and I guess we'll see how they go. But I guess that's pretty much the end of this video. If you guys have any questions, any comments, thoughts on these valves, let me know. I will throw, like I said in the beginning, I'll put everything I use, tools, beads, wheels, tires, valve stems, everything. I'll put all that stuff in the description for the video. A lot of it came from Amazon, so that makes that really easy. Otherwise, like, subscribe. We'll see you guys on the next one.